What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the World According to Briggs. I thought today we would take a look at the cities people are moving to. With the pandemic recession upon us, people have started moving around the country from places that have been hardest hit by this economic downturn. And it's going to continue to grow at a faster pace, I'm sure. These people will be looking for work and a better place to live. A majority of those moving are going to be millennials. They're the ones who are in the prime working years of the life cycle we have. The greatest generation, they're pretty much almost gone. Baby boomers are mostly retired by now. Gen Xers like myself, we're winding it down, and some of us are starting to look at retirement in the coming years. That sort of shows that the possible upcoming migration, at least the bulk of them, will be millennials. So where have they been moving? Well, lucky for us, the census has a nice list that shows us exactly where working adults are heading and why. Let's take a look. Number 10, Columbus, Ohio. Founded in 1816, the city of Columbus is Ohio's state capital. Columbus comes in as the 10th state where millennials are moving to. One of Columbus's biggest draws? It ain't Cleveland. That draws a lot of people in. With a net migration of about 2,750 on average the last 5 years, individuals between the age of 25 to 39 are moving here. Millennials may be interested in moving to Columbus because the housing costs are generally more reasonable than in many other large cities in the United States. The cost of living is 10% lower than the national average, and you could get a decent home for somewhere between $150 to $250. Sure, the 150 ones are going to need some work and they might not be in the best neighborhood, but they're livable. It's not like, there's a police crime scene tape wrapped around the whole building, Number 9, Paradise, Nevada. Most people have never heard of Paradise, Nevada. You probably know where it is, but you think it's Las Vegas. Most of the Las Vegas Strip is actually Paradise, Nevada. Vegas is its own thing down on Fremont Street area and all that with the casinos down there. But the Strip, for the most part, is Paradise, Nevada. Working adults have been moving to this area at a good clip for about a decade now. Paradise has just under 250,000 residents, with the Vegas metro area having about 2,200,000. I know a few people that fall into this category. My friend Kimmy is one of those people. She's from Oregon, and she moved to Vegas a couple years ago. She's got a YouTube channel called Kimmy the Explorer. She explores Vegas and the desert. It's kind of neat. There was a net migration of about 2,800 millennials on average over the last 5 years. You can get a condo in Paradise or a duplex for under 200,000, 150 to 200,000, somewhere in there. But you probably should be ready to pay about 350,000 and up if you want a decent home. Number 8, Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix has about 1.7 million residents, and most of them have burned themselves on a car seat at least once. And on average, they spend $40 a year on sunblock. About 15,000 millennials moved to Phoenix from different states in 2019. And only 12,000 left the city. That means there was a net migration of 3,000 millennials in 2019. In case you struggle with math, I thought I'd tell you that. You don't feel like pausing the video to open up your phone's calculator. This is rare for a major city. Their cost of living is 4% lower than the national average. That isn't easy to do. Number 7, Nashville, Tennessee. Forget all the Tennessee stereotypes when you visit Nashville. They have their own stereotypes that are equally as weird. But Nashville is a great city and is one of those places that is attracting a lot of people because of the culture and the lifestyle. Nashville has about 700,000 residents with about 2 million in the metro area. I like visiting Nashville. It's one of those cities you go visit when you don't want to visit like New York, LA, Miami, Vegas, things like that. This is an amazing American city. 13,000 millennials moved to Nashville, Tennessee in 2019, and the cost of living has a lot to do with them moving in there. Their cost of living is 5% lower than the national average. Nashville's average millennial growth is about 3,200 millennials a year. Number 6, Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas has a lot to offer millennials. A low cost of living, cheap housing, good schools, and a baseball team that cheats. Houston is the first of 3 Texas cities on this list. Texas has been doing things right for the last decade or so, and it's bringing people in. They've been stealing corporations from other states, just like the Astros steal signals. The cost of living in Houston is 8% lower than the national average, and you can get a decent house for in between $200,000 and $250,000. But they have some areas where $500,000 won't even get you into the neighborhood. They've got a big, giant market that's very spread out. So yeah, and it's a big city. On average, Houston sees about 3,300 new millennials every year. Number 5, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now this one's been getting really popular in the last few years. Charlotte carries the nickname of the Queen City because it was named after King George III's wife, Queen Charlotte. Millennials have been making their way to Charlotte, North Carolina by the truckload in recent years. In 2017, there was a net migration of 5,000 millennials to this city. That was a big year. On average, they see about 3,800 more millennials move in than move out. Livable homes here can be as low as $200,000, but you should probably expect to be getting a mortgage of over, I'd say, $300,000. Charlotte is a great city. It has a lot of things to do, a decent airport, a cost of living that's 6% lower than the national average, and they got jobs. It's a good city to live in. Good city to raise a family. Number 4, San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio is a city I would recommend to any veteran that doesn't mind some heat. It can get hot here. This is a great city for anyone, but a little bit more for the military. San Antonio has some areas that you should probably avoid. They get pretty dangerous. All cities have them. San Antonio seems to be excelling in them in the last couple of years, but that's just certain areas. Stay away from them, you're fine. This city has a few nicknames. 2 of my favorites are the Alamo City and Military City, USA. The reason they get the Alamos because the Alamos there and Military City, USA is because San Antonio has one of the largest active and retired military populations in the country. Now their entire population, not just military, is 1.5 million in the city alone, and the metro area has about 2.5 million. In 2019, 11,000 millennials moved from different states, and a lot of that had to do with the cost of living. The cost of living here is 12% lower than the national average. Now, when it comes to housing, if you find yourself looking at a house for $150,000, which they have a lot of them there, don't buy that. Your life will be at risk. If you want a decent house in a decent neighborhood, you're looking somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000. Now, like a lot of the cities on this list, it goes way up from there. They have some beautiful homes in San Antonio I was looking at that go for like $750,000. If you were to put that in some of the nicer neighborhoods of the Los Angeles area, that home would be, $1.5 million, something like that. Crazy. On average, San Antonio sees a little over 4,000 millennials move in than move out. Number 3, Austin, Texas. And we finally get to our third Texas city. Austin, Texas is the state capital, and like Portland, Oregon, their motto is keep it weird. I think Austin did have it first though. Austin isn't anything like the rest of Texas politically, which is fine. I just think it's something you should be aware of if that type of thing matters to you. In my opinion, it shouldn't, but to each their own. Austin has just under 1 million residents, with the metro area having about 2.2 million. Almost 16,000 millennials moved to Austin in 2019, while about 10,000 left, which is a little bit higher than their average, which lands about 5,600 a year. Why are millennials heading to Austin? Good schools, lifestyle, housing, all play a part, but the main reason is opportunity. Income per capita is 25% higher than the national average, and unemployment is 22% lower than the national average. So they got jobs and they're getting paid for them. Now, those are 2019 numbers. We'll see what it looks like next year when the 2020 numbers come out. When it comes to buying a home, expect your realtor to be offering you houses north of $300,000. They have a few below that, but more than likely you're looking at a mortgage between $350,000 to $450,000. I will tell you one thing, they have beautiful homes there that are amazing for north of $500,000. Really nice ones. Number 2, Denver, Colorado. Denver has been in the popular migration city list since the 1990s, probably even before then. Portland and Denver were always in the top 5. Portland's still in the top 20, but disappeared from the top 10 a couple years back. Retirees and seniors have been moving to Denver since forever. And now we see millennials have flocked to the city in recent years. Denver has a little over 700,000 residents, with the metro area having just under 3 million. On average, they see about 6,300 more millennials move in than out. Most stats aren't great for Denver. Crime is up there, not terrible, but it's 67% higher than the national average. Housing is almost 50% higher. Schools aren't the greatest. They're not terrible, they're just not great. So why are people moving there? The number one answer is always the same, the great outdoors. If you like being outside, this is your place. And considering most millennials have hiking boots or a mountain bike, it only makes sense. They also have too many Starbucks travel mugs and a trophy for everything. No matter how small the achievement is for a millennial, they want a frickin' award. Never understood that. They say the median home price is $290,000 in Denver, but honestly, anything under $350,000 is going to have bars on the windows and a shelf by the front door for some sort of weapon. But they do have some really nice and beautiful neighborhoods in Denver. And number 1, Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington took the top spot this year for the same reason Denver was number 2, the great outdoors. They got a lot to do outdoors in and around Seattle. The cost of living, housing are more expensive, but the schools are better, the employment is lower, and the average salary is higher. And that's probably why more people moved here instead of Denver. In 2019, close to 28,000 millennials moved to Seattle from different states. 11,000 more millennials moved to Seattle in 2019 than actually moved out. Housing is where it gets rough here. If you want an actual house, not a condo or something like that, the starting price is going to be $750,000. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. The Emerald City is expensive. I would say the middle price range, just by looking at Zillow and a couple of the other websites, you're going to want to be ready to spend $850,000 to $1 million for a house. Now, every time I say that, I get people leaving comments about who's going to plop down that kind of money. Well, some people do, but I'm talking your mortgage will be $1 million and you'll pay it monthly. That's how housing works. I don't know why people get that confused. They seem to think I'm saying that if you want a house, you have to give someone $1 million the day you move in. No, it's not how mortgages work. Weird. All right, so that's today's list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Yeah, millennials are moving, and they're going to be on the move even more here in the coming months, I'm sure, in the next couple of years. It's going to be rough for a lot of us. Hopefully, we'll all make it through unscathed. Anyway, don't forget all the links below. Subscribe if you already haven't. Leave me a comment. What do you think about these cities? Which is your favorite? I'd love to hear about it in the comment section below. Especially from the locals. If you're living in one of these cities, let us know. Give us your take on the city right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.